This is some of the best CE choices you'll have like ever in this world. I couldn't see a single course on the whole lineup that I'd be disappointed in taking. The app, everyone should definitely download the app for the conference. I think it has many useful alerts and tools. It's not just for looking at, hey, this is what the schedule is, this is the thing coming up, but they have really cool stuff on there as well. This is a really good opportunity to meet just like-minded hygienists from all across the country. And also one thing that happens quite often here at this event is you could be meeting your future employer. And that's pretty huge. We will have a podcast lounge going, and I think we're gonna have some cornhole games going, so you can play that. You can just hang out with us if you want to.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists, an Endeavor Business Media production. This is episode number 391. My name is Andrew Johnston, and thank you so much for tuning in today. So in today's episode, I'm going to go solo, and I want to give you a preview of what to expect of RDH Under One Roof. I discuss what classes look amazing to me, some of the networking events, some tips for the first-timers, and probably for some of the alumni also. Just some practical logistical thoughts as you're coming and going to the conference. I will say, if you are not a part of the RDH Under One Roof Facebook group, I suggest that you do a search and find it and join it, because you can ask some of those questions directly there if you're feeling nervous or you just want clarification on a few things. It's a pretty fast response time too, which is really great. But then you have multiple people's opinions on stuff, and I always appreciate that. But before we get into the episode, I do want to say thank you to everyone who said hello at the ADHA conference this last weekend. I wasn't going to go initially because I had some other travel plans that the week before. I didn't want to be gone 2 weekends in a row. But all of the crazy airline stuff was happening with United, and so my trip got canceled, and it made it available so I could kind of use those flight credits for that next weekend. So Thursday morning at 10 a.m., I decided, hey, I'm going to jump on this 3:30 or whatever it was flight in the afternoon, and I'm going to head out. Well, the plane was supposed to land around midnight or maybe just after midnight. We had some crazy storms in Tampa. Apparently it had some crazy storms also in my connecting city, which was Houston. And I didn't end up getting into the hotel room until probably about 3:30 a.m. on Friday morning. It was a disaster, but I'm very happy that I was there. I got to meet people like Priyam, who was just on the show recently. I met Darren and Liliana. They're actually both going to be on the show here, I think, at Under One Roof. We're going to try and get them on. But the ADHA conference, the 100th anniversary celebration, was pretty dang good. I was really happy to see the exhibit hall was a little bit more lively. It's a little bit more busy than I've seen it in the last couple of years. I'm assuming that there were a lot more people at the conference based on kind of the foot traffic that I saw. I'm not really sure. I didn't get a number. I was able to meet the new ADHA leadership, and they have some pretty interesting things to say. They seem really motivated to move the association in the right direction, which I know everyone always has that intention, but I really feel it differently this time. And so I'm really hopeful that we can get them on the podcast soon. We actually did try and do a podcast there, but my gear, I got brand new gear. It wasn't set up properly, which is totally my bad. And we couldn't get a recording done, but I will get them on. I want them to share what their vision is for the profession and how they can support all of you listening to the show. If you have thoughts for them before I record that, please send me thoughts or questions that you want me to ask them. Andrew at atale2hygienist.com, and I will be sure to loop that into the lineup for the show. But okay, so enough with the intro. Let's get into the 2023 RDH Under One Roof preview episode.
A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome in, everyone, into the interview portion of the podcast, but this time, not so much an interview as it is just me talking about best practices and thoughts for the RDH Under One Roof conference this year. You have heard me say it several times, and probably you saw it posted all over the internets, but this conference, for the very first time ever, has sold out. On the call the other day, I heard that there was expected to be somewhere around 2,500 people coming to the event, and that's including vendors and attendees and everyone. And that is really exciting. But with that many attendees, there are definitely some challenges that we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the episode. But let's start off by talking about travel. I want to really try and talk about things that are practical, things that can help someone that may be a little bit more nervous about attending a show like this. Many of you are seasoned travelers. A lot of you guys are, going to all the conferences every year, but some of you just have so much anxiety, especially visiting new places, right? And so let's talk a little bit about Nashville and the airport and the travel and all that kind of stuff. So the city of Nashville is actually pretty cool. There are plenty of features that you'd expect in a regular, kind of mid-sized city, but there's also a lot of green spaces. And in the region, there's a river. I'm all of a sudden blanking on the name of it. I want to say Cumberland, but that doesn't actually sound right in my head. But there's this river that kind of meanders. Like if you're looking at a map, it kind of winds through this whole entire area. It's really awesome. Now, the downtown area, where you think that most people go to, the bars and listen to music and things like that, that's just on the south side of this river. But it's in the south side as it's kind of curling up and then curls back down. It's very interesting. Now, the Gaylord Resort is about 20 minutes north and to the east of this downtown area. And this will be really important, especially if you plan on doing any sort of activities in the city. Now, the airport is also east, but a little bit south of the downtown area. So that's going to make the Gaylord then north, and I guess a skosh to the west of the airport. For those who are having a hard time tracking the words that I was just saying, it's essentially a triangle, okay? And it's 20 minutes to get from any of the three locations that you're looking for. So if you're going from the airport to the downtown, it's about 20 minutes. Downtown to the Gaylord, about 20 minutes. Gaylord to airport and vice versa, about 20 minutes. It's just like this little triangle. Now, I'm not a local to the area. I've only been there a few times. Traffic does play a little bit of a role when you're trying to plan for something like this. So make sure you do incorporate that. But I think it's not the same as, a Seattle, an LA, a Boston, a Chicago, New York. It's not that kind of traffic. It's not going to really impact things very much unless there is some sort of accident or something kind of a bigger thing than just a lot of people trying to get in and out of rush hour traffic. Now, if you're flying in, I could easily say this, but I know that people aren't necessarily going to believe it, but you really should have zero anxiety about the airport. So while Nashville has a ton of tourism, the airport itself isn't really a big city airport. There are 4 concourses, 4 terminals, if you will, and there's only about 42 gates. So by comparison, Tampa, where I live now, which feels also kind of like that mid-market, not a huge city, not a tiny city either, has about 59 gates. So several more gates than Nashville. But then we look at somewhere like in Atlanta that has almost 200 gates, or a Houston that has 150 plus gates. Those ones can be incredibly overwhelming. But this is a relatively smaller airport. You'll easily be able to get yourself from baggage claim to the taxi or the Uber pickup locations. Now, when I say Uber, what I really mean is any rideshare company. In fact, I've noticed actually something really interesting the last several times that I've been to Chicago, some patterns that happen in different cities. And what it tells me is that while you might be someone that uses Uber all the time, I really do think that it's city dependent. So it might be beneficial to look at all of your options. Uber, Lyft, I don't think Grab is a thing that we have in the United States, but maybe it is. And taxis. When I was in Chicago this last week, I noticed that Uber has really gone up since the pandemic. I feel like it used to be super inexpensive to take an Uber from the airport down to downtown, or if I was going from north of the Loop all the way down to McCormick, I feel like it was pretty inexpensive. But dang, ever since the pandemic, I feel like Uber's like quadrupled their prices in Chicago. It's really unfortunate. The last 2 times I was in Chicago, I started actually using Lyft, which I never even had I had to download the app because I didn't have it before. But it's about $20 to $30 less expensive to and from the airport in Chicago. I was just blown away by the differences in those prices. But then when I get into the city, it's the taxis that are the most affordable. It's $12 for a cab from McCormick to where my hotel was, when I priced it out on both Uber and Lyft, about $30 each way. So my advice here is to download both of the apps, or more if there's something I'm not thinking of or mentioning. Make sure you also add your credit card ahead of time. It's just an inconvenience. I remember I was sitting on one of the stone benches and I had to put my credit card in, and it was just kind of a pain in the butt. So I looked like a fool and all the different things. But do that. And then as soon as you land, do a quick check on the prices, even if you're not ready to book them yet, just so you have an idea. Okay, Uber is this, Lyft is this. And then when you're ready to actually call it, check them again, kind of see where you're at. The Uber website, if it's to be trusted, which said the average from BNA, which is the airport code for the Nashville airport, to the downtown area is between $13 and $17. And then if you have a tip, it's about $20. Since the Gaylord is approximately the same distance away, I would expect it to be about the same price range. But again, this is if that website is to be trusted. I'm not sure if they're updating that website all the time or if that's from 5 years ago. Who knows? Now, once you get to the hotel, sometimes, especially if you've never been to a Gaylord before, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So in order to fix this, when you get to the front desk area, most of the time, like you get in, you're giving their credit card and your ID, and you want to get to your room as fast as you can. But don't be in a rush, because even if there's a long line waiting behind you, it's really important that you ask all of your questions about where things are located right in this minute. I think getting a map and having them draw for you, this is where the things are, that's what their job is. So don't feel that rush. Don't feel that pressure from the people behind you who have been waiting. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer because this is a pretty decent size resort. I can't tell you the number of times I've actually been lost inside the Gaylord. I remember last year was Orlando, and I'd been to the Gaylord before, and I still couldn't find my room very easily. I went down 2 wrong hallways. So it's totally worth it to ask the questions. After you get to your room and after you maybe unpack a little bit and you're rested and all those kinds of things, and this is true, I guess, more if you're coming on Wednesday than any other days, but the registration area is open at 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. on Wednesday. It's a great time to get your badge squared away because so many people are going to be getting in on Thursday morning, and it's going to be a really, really long line on Thursday morning. So make sure you get in there, get your badge all squared away. And then if this is your first time being there, there's a first timers reception from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Wednesday. And then the Patterson reception, which is called Boots and Buckles Kickoff Reception, will be after that. Now, Thursday is the first full day of the conference, and registration opens at 6:30 with classes starting at 7:30. So we have a whole hour there. Again, try and be early if you can. It is a pain in the butt to wake up that early, but I think, everyone's going to be doing that mad rush, and then you have to go find your classroom after that. You just don't want to push it. So maybe go get your badge first, and then maybe stop by the cafe and get your coffee and do all of that. And then, you'll have plenty of time to get to your classes. Now, you all have had a really hard decision to make with this course lineup right at the start, because you have Katrina Klein, India Chance, Susan Cotton, and Catherine Gilliam all having courses in that first block. And while I love all of these speakers, and I believe actually all of them have been on the show before and maybe multiple times for some of them, I'm absolutely intrigued by the course that's being given by Doctors Tim Donnelly and Brett Seelove. It's titled Thinking Beyond the Pocket Depth, the Role Bacteria Plays in Periodontal Disease. And I say intriguing because I just ran across Dr. Donnelly's name on LinkedIn on a post somewhere a few months back. And I just keep seeing his name everywhere. It's very interesting. And of course, the topic is very interesting. It's very timely. Oral systemic health is always interesting, I think, to most people. So if you have an opportunity to take that course, I would absolutely do it. But you just can't go wrong with any of those courses. And then from 10 to 2 o'clock, another solid group. You have Laura Hooper, Ann Rice, and Gina Pritchard all collaborating on a course together, which is always fun when there's multiple speakers, right? Multiple perspectives. You have Anchi Do and Amanda Zubricki also slated for that time. But me personally, and again, you guys will have your own thoughts on all of this, but me personally, I'd probably take the course that's on orofacial and airway components that drive chronic inflammation by Kristen Resnauer. Because for me, it's just something that's unique and different. And I don't know if I've ever actually watched a presentation given by Kristen before. It'd be something I have to look into, definitely. Then after the lunch break at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., it's another block of impossible choices. Dr. David Rice is doing a new products presentation. Fast Facts Perio Edition host Katrina Sanders has a course that's going to be amazing. Dr. Susan Maples, who was on the show, I think last year, mid to late last year, she also has a course. And then the person that invited her to be on this show, Michelle Hudson, also has a course. I'm not sure how anyone would be able to pick between any of these. So good luck to you all on that one. You just can't go wrong. This is great. But lucky for everyone, there's not a choice to be made at 3:30 because that's the mega session. And it's one person, the magnificent Casey Hine. We'll be talking about perio and diabetes, among other things. So that's going to be a great course. It's going to be a good course to kind of end the day of education, but it's not ending the day as far as more commitments and things to do. So right after Casey's done speaking, the exhibit hall opens. One thing you're going to notice about Under One Roof is that the exhibit hall hours are extremely convenient for everyone. It's not open all day long, but it's open during specific time periods. This is really great for exhibitors because it allows them to kind of have more rest built in so that when they're facing us, the public, they're not just wiped out, exhausted from talking and that social interaction all day long. Look, you guys know what that's like, right? You have patients all day, every day. When you have any sort of a breakaway from human interaction, it's really nice to recuperate. And so I really like that they do it that way. But the other thing that they have that's going for them is that this allows us to have receptions on the exhibit hall floor. While for many of us, we're not, too tired or over the exhibit hall, right? Because it hasn't been open all day long. We haven't gone on there 5 times or 6 times. So we have these receptions on the exhibit hall floor. On Thursday, it happens to start at 6 p.m. Now, running concurrently to this is the Sunstar Award of Distinction reception from 6 to 7:30. And then the Phillips and the RDH Heart to Hands Award reception is from 7 to 8:30. Those ones are invite only or special registration or things like that. But don't worry, we have something for everyone during these evenings. So that's the end of day one. It's a long day. It's incredibly worth it. This is some of the best CE choices you'll have like ever in this world. I couldn't see a single course on the whole lineup that I'd be disappointed in taking. But after this really long day and the receptions, you still have a couple more choices you need to make. So one thing is you can head out, go find some dinner. I'll cover some places you can eat a little bit later on in the episode, but you can go do dinner. You can go out to the city and have a night on the city, or you can find a quick bite somewhere and head to bed. And you're going to hear lots of conflicting thoughts on this because I know it's the whole, like, you only live once and blah, blah, blah. I'm actually really proud of myself for not saying YOLO, but like, I just feel like, you're going to want to just do everything all the time. But the problem is, unless you are, a youngster, I really just think that you should go to bed early on Thursday night. If you have the ability that you can party until 2 a.m. and then make that 5 a.m. Orange Theory workout in the morning, I mean, bless you. That is incredible. But the rest of us probably can't do that. So I would say wait until Friday, probably even better yet, if you can wait till Saturday night for all of your, partying and relaxing, letting loose, going out on the town, things like that. Because Friday is just another full day. You're just not going to want to miss any of it. So for Friday, and I'm not going to go through all the courses like I did for Thursday, you're more than capable of reading the whole lineup. I know that you are. Thursday is really, I wanted to give you some excitement of like what is to come. But there really is actually a 5 a.m. Orange Theory class on Friday morning. I think there's also 3 different times for this class. So I think it's 5, 6, and 7 or something like that. So really, again, don't plan on staying out too long if you wanted to do an early workout. Now, you don't have to do that early workout if you don't want to, but it'll be a nice way to wake up and get you kind of going, because we have a really great keynote by Alex Weber called The Unstoppable You. And it is going to be incredible. It's going to be very motivating and powerful. You're going to want to be paying attention to that. You're going to be awake for that. And then right after the keynote, I have a course on DSOs at 10 a.m. Now, this is a course with way more brilliant people than just by myself. So don't worry. I know on some of the older things online, it just had me on there, but that's not going to be the case. So for this 2 hours, rather than having me just yap, the first speaker is actually going to be Josie Sewell, who was going to do an hour from 10 to 11. And that'll be more like a lecture format. And then from 11 to 12, we'll have a panel come up on the stage, and I'll be moderating a discussion about managing your success at a DSO. We'll be talking real talk. It's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I think that a lot of people make snap judgments without really understanding the nuances between the different DSOs. And so I'm hoping that my panelists, we have Trish Keena, Misty Mattingly, and Tommy Tipton, also people you've heard on the show before, they're all going to be able to help you figure out what is right for you and how to make that choice. Because the way that Misty and her team work is going to be different than the way Tommy does and different the way that Trish does. And so you really need to understand, just because it's a DSO doesn't mean that it's bad. In fact, my wife took my son earlier today to a dental appointment. It's been a little bit of time, unfortunately, since we've done the move and all these different things. And they went to a DSO. It was actually a Heartland. I'll just call it out. They went to a Heartland, and, I talked to the kids afterwards, make sure that, hey, how's everything going? He's like, it's fine. No cavities. Yay. Proud hygienist dad. But my wife was the one that was the most impressed. She was saying, hey, they have all of these tools. Like, none of these things have I ever seen before. Now, I didn't expect her to understand that a lot of the tools that they have are kind of like the new standard of care and have been kind of the standard for probably a good 5 years, or should be at least the standard for the last 5 years, maybe even 10 years on some of the technology. But she was blown away. She was absolutely shocked and happy with that outcome. And it was a DSO. So I'm just saying, like, and she said that the hygienist seemed very happy and very incredibly competent at her job. So I just think that, we do make some snap judgments. I think that there's lots of things to be considered to see if a DSO is right for you. And sometimes it's not. It really is not for actually probably a lot of you. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so that's what the course is going to be about. But if you can't attend my course, the one I really would love for you to be able to do is go visit my really good friend, Amber Riley, in her course. She's doing one on, it's like an intro, I believe, to forensic odontology. I've known Amber for years. She is probably among the best speakers that I know. Someone who does a lot of interviews with people, and sometimes you can just get kind of tired of CE. And I don't think I'd ever be tired of any of her courses. It's just the videos, the slides, the pictures, all of the things that she shows in her presentations are super fascinating. It helps that her topics are a little bit unique. Not a lot of people are doing what she does, and she just does it better than everyone anyway. So be sure that you check her out if my course isn't for you. She always has a line out the door of people waiting to talk to her after her course. You are not going to be disappointed in that one. And not to be throw any sort of shade to anyone else that's presenting at that time. I'm sure that they're giving great courses too, but it really would be hard to beat anything that Amber does. Then later in the day is a GBT course by Dr. Sarah Ballister, who we recorded with at the Under One Roof last year. I just saw another post online. I can't remember who it was, but it's a friend of mine posted on her personal page, and she said something about like, oh my gosh, I've been living under a rock. Tell me more about GBT. And everyone's just like, oh, it's the best thing ever. A lot of you still don't know about it. If you want to learn about it, that's absolutely the course for you. And Dr. Ballister was a fantastic guest on the show, so I'm sure that she'll be able to explain it really well. There is a networking event on the exhibit hall floor, and then a social event with Pac Dent and Cloud Dentistry starting at 7:30 until 10:30 that night, which promises to be good. Also, Saturday starts off with some more tough choices. We have Dr. Tom Viola, Amanda Hills giving a course, and then we have a wrap-up mega session with Katrina Sanders, followed by lunch and exhibit hall hours. And that's it. That's the schedule. So lots of really amazing things going on. I'm really, really excited for it. The next little section I'm going to talk about is just some kind of frequently asked questions or some things that have come up in the Facebook group that I just kind of want to address. The first thing is about where to eat. So if you've never visited a Gaylord property before, you're probably going to be very surprised. It's very self-contained, and that includes options for food. So the Nashville location has several options. You can do sit down. They have like cafes. There's a sports bar. They have a burger place. There's a steakhouse. There's an Italian restaurant. I think there's a tequila bar that has Mexican-inspired cuisine. Really just a ton of things. But of course, in the surrounding area, they also have other options as well if you want to go elsewhere. If you wanted to eat in your room, they do have room service. They also have DoorDash or any of these other apps that you can use to have food delivery service. The next question is, what if I forget to pack something? What are my options? And the first thing to do, I would say, is get on the Under One Roof Facebook group and post in there if someone has an extra of whatever you need. We're definitely here to help. And so if it's something that can't easily be purchased at the store that I think that they have on site, maybe ask the group. But while the resort is self-contained, again, we're not that far from any of the other stores. And so you can just jump in a taxi or Uber, rideshare, whatever it is, and head over to one of the stores and grab what you need as well. Dress code. Dress code is business casual ? Maybe casual. I mean, just dress nice. I have a hard time answering this because I'm just not really into fashion. I think everyone knows that about me. I don't see colors real well. I don't understand patterns and all these other things. But I think most people just wear nice pants and a nice top and maybe a dress or a skirt, but I just don't overthink it. Whatever you wear to a normal, regular dental conference, that's what you're going to wear to this conference. And I think it was mentioned in the frequently asked questions on the website for RDH Under One Roof, but it said something about the room temperatures are going to be set at 72 degrees. So for you, if that is warm or if that's cold, dress accordingly. We're still more than a week away from the conference, but right now the temperature outside is forecast to be in the low 90s. So make sure that you have enough clothes that if you are going to go off site, that you're able to, change out, wear the things that you're going to be comfortable in 90-degree weather. And then of course, dress code for the different events. If you go onto the website, or into the app, and you click into the different events, you'll see what the dress codes are, because there are maybe themes or something that you want to kind of dress up differently for. Make sure you look ahead, be prepared so you can pack all of those things. The next question, should I pack light? The common travel question. I think that a lot of people who are kind of road warriors do try and pack as light as they can. But RDH Under One Roof is interesting because the exhibitors are encouraged to give out samples of patient products. So it's not uncommon that people bring an extra bag or a suitcase for their trip home. We have talked about this a lot on the podcast, and I don't want to get into this too much because it's kind of a negative thing, but please be very polite as an attendee. Don't be grabbing handfuls of product, especially if you have no intention of using it. Leave it for people who actually will use it, or leave it for the company who has spent money to bring it. Just because it's free doesn't mean that you just have to take it. I also would ask that you please have a conversation with the exhibitors. It doesn't have to be a long one, but just ask at least a question. Try and be as engaged as possible to determine if that sample that they're offering is something that you'd actually use before taking it. There's just a lot of etiquette around, being an attendee. And I feel like, sometimes people just feel like this is Halloween. It's like trick or treat, give me all the stuff. Okay. A hot topic in the Facebook group this last week or so has been about business cards. Yes, you should definitely bring them if you are looking to connect to anybody. There are different versions you can bring, like Vistaprint has, or other online stores has like the paper cards that you can have quickly sent to you. I think you could have expedited shipping as well. You could also have a digital business card with companies like Blink. That's BLINQ, which gives all of the same amount of information. It's just maybe easier to import into your phone. I was given a Blink code just the other day, and it was super convenient. I really appreciated it. If you are going to do a paper business card, I would definitely say some sort of a combination where you can do a QR code and have someone scan your QR code. I think that's a really good idea as well. For those of you on the waiting list that are hoping that someone will maybe sell or transfer to you their tickets, that's just not how it works. Transfers are not possible, and you can't sell a ticket to someone else. So I'm really sorry about that. The app, everyone should definitely download the app for the conference. I think it has many useful alerts and tools. It's not just for looking at, hey, this is what the schedule is. This is a thing that's coming up, but they have really cool stuff on there as well. Another question was, should I bring boots? Of course, it's Nashville. It seems like that's the consensus, that most people are bringing some sort of a boot. Maybe they're going to wear that at the conference. Maybe they're going to wear that at some of the parties afterwards. Maybe they're going to wear them out on the town. Who knows? But feel free to absolutely to pack that. A few more thoughts. Just make sure you are bringing water with you, and maybe some snacks if you're someone that is a snacker that just always has to have a little something there. There's definitely food around, but you're going to want to have something maybe snacky for in between sessions. I would say come with an open mind for meeting new people. That's really big. That's one of the reasons why you're going to come to this conference compared to any other conference. If you are introverted like me, don't worry. You don't have to meet new people if you don't want to. But this is a really good opportunity to meet just like-minded hygienists from all across the country. And also one thing that happens quite often here at this event is you could be meeting your future employer. And that's pretty huge. Visiting the exhibit hall is one of my favorite things to do. Just make sure that when you do it, slow down. Really, really, really get to see each booth. I think that we've all seen, who's a big one? Colgate, Crest, the biggies. We've seen that at all the other shows, but at this one, sometimes they have different things because this conference really is for the hygienist. And these companies have been, it's 20 years or so that they've been coming back to this conference, that they kind of already know that they need to change their approach a little bit. We will have the podcast lounge going, and I think we're going to have some cornhole games going, so you can play that. You can just hang out with us if you want to. There's also some newer companies like Slate Dental at booth 536. Sipify, I believe, is at booth 727. Dr. Jen, who you just heard from a few weeks ago, will be at booth 427. There's a new one that I just ran into at ADHA called Guru Nanda. And I probably didn't say that right, but they're going to be at booth 626. Synapse, who isn't really a newer company, but maybe they're newer for some of you who haven't seen them yet. They're going to be at booth 521. But even the bigger companies, like I mentioned before, that have kind of been established and have come to these events several times, the Elevate Oral Cares, the Waterpicks, the Xyrus, PerioProtect, Tepe, Pulp Dent, all of these ones, still go check out to see what they have going on because they definitely have new things always going on. Before I finish this episode, I want to address some of the issues that we've had with the sold out conference. I'm going to try and do this really quick. I just don't want it to be a complaint fest. But, several people have been affected by the sold out part of the show. And I'm really sorry about that. Deepest sympathies for everyone that has, been coming for a really long time and just couldn't make it because we were sold out so quickly. I don't think anyone anticipated that the show was going to be as popular as it was this year. I've seen a few people that haven't been able to make it that have been staples and regulars for years and years and years. I did ask if there's a way that we could just give maybe a few more passes to people, but they really just can't. There's just the way the conferences are. They have meeting rooms. They have a capacity. They can hold so many chairs, and they're just at capacity, all of them. And, big shout out to RDH. They even went through and added some more courses and added some more rooms and things like that to try and make it so that we could accommodate everybody. Because even with our sold out capacity, we weren't really expecting that. But the resort is only so big. There are only so many meeting rooms. There's other meetings also that are happening at the same time as us. It's not just RDH has rented out this whole entire resort. There's other professions that are also having conferences. And so, and then also just regular people that want to attend the resort. And so it's just, we're at max capacity. The other issue was about the hotels. I think we've talked about this a little bit before. Again, shout out to RDH for working with the Gaylord to try and add more rooms to the block. I know there were so many phone calls and emails going back and forth. They're also trying to manage the block itself to make sure that we had enough inventory, that, Andrew over here isn't, reserving 10 rooms because it's cheap or whatever, that I'm getting the room that's appropriate for me to attend. And so, everyone worked really hard to try and maximize the number of rooms. But even though that we sold out of the rooms at the Gaylord, they also increased the number of hotels in the surrounding area that they have contracts with and added some shuttle routes for the attendees. So I have in the show notes, there's a link for which hotels will have service to them with a shuttle. And on that same page, there's information about 2 route options. Please note that the shuttles are not running all day long. There's a 4-hour window in the morning and 1 4-hour window in the evening on Thursday. Same with Friday. And then on Saturday, it's from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So there's very specific times that they're running. You have to check on the website. Okay. So with all of the issues that we had with, just capacity things, I think that the takeaway is you got to sign up early for next year. Get your hotel room as soon as that block opens. Pre-registration is already open. And with pre-registration comes lots of perks. And there's some little gifts. There's all these different things that you get for pre-registering. So if you're going to be coming, it's pretty much a win just to pre-register. RDH Under One Roof merch is available on the website. But if there are any items left over, if we don't sell out on the website, make sure you go and see Caitlin and her team at Dental Hygiene Nation. Their booth will have some of the leftover items that are still available for purchase. If you're interested in speaking next year, the call for abstracts is happening right now until I want to say mid-August. So make sure you get on it. The link is also in the show notes, but you can head over to the website also if you know where it's at on the website. Thank you all so much for listening. I can't wait to see all of you who will be in Nashville next week. Please stop by the podcast booth, take some pictures, play some cornhole, hang out with us, have a good time. And thank you so much. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.